Moneyball fans. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Welcome into On Deck. I'm Tyler Redmond. As always, thank you so much for checking out the channel. I do appreciate it. While you're here, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and of course, hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here at On Deck and of course with the Atlanta Braves. It's been a good few days here in the live stream. Been fun to watch, been fun to be a part of, and been fun to conversate with you guys. And it's a good day for On Deck subscribers. As you already know, I'm sure, Eddie Rosario has been signed to the Braves on another deal. And obviously, you know, we've been telling you this is likely going to happen for a while now. I've thought this was going to happen. Glad to see it's for 2 years, $18 million. Doesn't break the bank, and I think it brings back a very good player, and it fixes the problem of missing an outfielder. Because right now we are certainly missing an outfielder. You got Duvall out there, Acuna soon to be back, and now Eddie Rosario. It's going to be great. This is a great pickup. I've been telling you for a long time that this is what I wanted to do, and it's because of what I saw last year, right? I mean, 259 average, a 305 on base, 435 slug, 14 homers. Might not jump off the page, but keep in mind he was also injured throughout a big part of last year. But when he came to the Braves, he showed up, and he showed up more than any other time in the postseason. A 560 average in the NLCS, a 607 on base, 1040 slug, and 3 homers. Obviously, that's going to make him the NLCS MVP. Not to mention this awesome homer that I happen to be in the ballpark for. This was just a great signing. I'm glad it's happened. I knew that after Freddie, it was gonna be a matter of time before something happened. Whether it was Soler, whether it was Rosario or Jock Peterson. Rumors, by the way, are saying that Jock Peterson is off to the Giants. So congrats to him. No hard feelings. We all knew that it was probably a matter of time before these guys started moving on. But happy to have Eddie Rosario back. And I am not the only one. Alex Anthopoulos came out today and spoke as well. We'll talk about that in just a second. But you know, guys, this has just been, it's been great. And at the end of the day, Rosario is the guy that I wanted. I told you day in, day out, you guys asked me, what free agent do you want? Who's it going to be? I told you Rosario because I think I know Alex Anthopoulos pretty well. He had some comments today that we're going to watch right now.
Back in, did you get that another left-handed bat?
Yeah, left-handed bat was important. I think, you know, last year was the most balanced our lineup was. When you look at having guys that we did with Jock and Rosario and Freddie and Ozzy, and just having that depth in the lineup is huge for other teams to have to navigate and work through. So, and also just having a contact bat is important too. So, you know, we're excited he wanted to be back, and we're excited to get the deal done.
Was it, do you get him back in?
So yeah, obviously, great comments by Alex Anthopoulos. Said a lot of what I thought in previous days, you know, leading up to this. This is a huge deal. Again, we got Rosario back. Consistent bat. That's what I liked about him. I thought he could be consistent across a 162. He's had good years before this, and I think he was the guy. He obviously showed himself brighter than any other time in the postseason, but I think he's going to be good across 162 if he is healthy. Of course, there's other things to do. He was not the only signing today. We had some others. First off, we're going to go with Alex Dickerson. He signed to a 1-year, $1 million base salary contract. I like this move. I think he's going to be competing to be on the bench, and we're going to talk about the bench here a little bit later. I'm going to throw a theory at you, so stay tuned for that. But also, we signed reliever Tyler Thornburg to a 1-year, $900,000 contract. He is on his way back from Tommy John. He missed the entire 2021 season with Tommy John surgery. He's a local guy, and I think this is a good pickup for the Braves. Not a lot of risk, low risk, possibly high reward. That's how Alex Anthopoulos has always gone about things. That's how I think he's going here. But look, I think that there's still some moves to be made. And I'm going to throw one at you here in just a second that I think you guys are really going to like. But again, big day for the Braves. Past 3 days have all been big for the Braves. First, you sign Matt Olson. Then you extend Matt Olson. And all the other moves that happened yesterday. You pick up Colin McHugh yesterday. And then today, you sign Rosario. You sign Tyler Thornburg. You sign Alex Dickerson. The Braves have been very active in the free agency frenzy. And it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to talk about. I will be talking to you guys in the comment section. I expect a good comment section tonight. It's been a big day. And then, but again, the best way to get me to respond to you instantly is to super chat. Gonna just throw that out there. But before we get into any comments, I want to talk about this. I think there is a guy, based on what's going on with, you removed pitchers hitting and you've created a DH in the National League. Based on that, your bench is going to be smaller. The Braves are more than likely going to pick up an extra pitcher for the pen, and at that point, the bench is going to be like maybe an infielder and an outfielder. But I think there's a guy that we're very familiar with that could fill more than one role because he's done it before, and that guy is Charlie Culberson. Charlie Culberson has had an up and down career. He's been with the Dodgers at one point. He's been with the Rockies, the Giants, the Braves, and now, of course, the Rangers. Last year, he hit 243, a 296 on base, 381 slug, 5 homers. Now, those numbers aren't anything that's going to jump off the page, but keep in mind, Charlie Culberson, there's a lot of, just qualities about him that can't be represented by numbers. He can play all 9 positions. At the end of the day, he's clutch, right? I think we know that. He's a super utility player. And in a time where we're going to have a limited bench, it would be good to see. But it would be nice if we could get him. It looks like he's going to stay a Ranger this year. I made this graphic earlier today, but it's looking like he's going to be a Ranger. But I thought it would be nice. Maybe we could trade for him. I think it would be a low-cost scenario if he could come back to the Braves. But just throwing that at you, I thought it was a decent idea early this morning. Of course, he did sign with the Rangers today. All right, we're going to talk about the comments in the chat now. I hope you guys are as excited as I am about Rosario and about all the other signings that we've done in the past few days, and of course the signings that we did today. All right, Caleb Cox says every day is a good day to be an On Deck subscriber. In that case, you guys should probably subscribe. Also, guys, before we go any further, like the video. It helps me a lot, gets the stream out to more fans and more potential fans. So make sure you like the video, and of course subscribe to myself here at On Deck. It helps me out a lot. RLP 2.6. Yeah, we hit 2.6, I guess, today. You guys have been killing it on the subscriber thing, and I do appreciate it. Keep that going. Keep that momentum going. He also says that Tyler called it. I was here 2 days ago when he said it live. Yeah, I've been saying it a lot lately. Who do you want? Rosario. Who do you want? Rosario. You guys must have asked me at least 10 times throughout each live stream what free agent I wanted to go get. And before any pitcher, before any other player, I said Rosario. And for obvious reasons, for what he did last year, for what he did, among other times. But, at the end of the day, this guy's a postseason hero for the Braves, and I think we all know that. But beyond that, I think this guy is one of the best guys available. I think he's underrated. I think that, more folks should have been targeting him. He did come out and say that the Braves were by far his priority. And for good reason, right? Where else would you want to go? You just won the World Series. But I appreciate the fact that he wanted to come back. I think the only thing that they were waiting on his contract, because his contract did not break the bank. This is not a terrible contract. This is, in fact, a very decent contract. He's averaging $9 million a year. But I thought this was a good deal. The Braves probably wanted to figure out Freddie and the Olsen scenario before they ever went any further, because those are the biggest pieces that they were going to have to deal with. That's completely understandable. But it cannot be forgotten just what Eddie Rosario did throughout last year. The trade deadline was one of the greatest trade deadlines in history, and I'll stand by that. And he was a big part of that. Keep in mind, the Braves picked up Eddie Rosario for Pablo Sandoval. And what a great turnaround that has been. All credit due to Pablo. Eddie Rosario came in and was a huge part as to how the Braves, for one, got past the Dodgers and also won the World Series. He was a huge part in that, and I'm glad that we're going to have one of those stars, at least one of those stars, coming back. Not to mention what he did in the NLCS alone, obviously the NLCS MVP. Just crazy stats when they happen, crazy stats to this day. But yeah, I thought that this was a good deal. I thought this was the best deal that we had out there. I'd heard the rumors on Soler. I get it. World Series MVP and all that, but this was the guy that I wanted. I'm glad it's happened. We'll see how it pans out, and we'll keep an eye on it. Oren Griswold, I feel like we'll add another bench piece and let Kyle Muller, Davidson, Wright, and Noah fill in those last 2 rotation spots. until we're fully healthy. Don't forget about Mike Soroka too. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. We might get another starter, maybe, but I think it's going to be a competition. I think we're going to have to let either these young guys, be a part of this team or not be. We're going to have to see where they are. And, especially like guys like Kyle Muller and Tucker Davidson and Kyle Wright, those guys have not fully made it to the majors. I think Waskari Noah was going to this year. I think he was actually going to break through and be that player. It's hard to know because it's such a small sample size, but he was doing really well at the beginning of the year. He was probably our most consistent starting pitcher at the beginning of the year. Obviously, when he broke his hand, he fell off, was never quite the same last year, but who knows? Maybe he's healed up, maybe he's completely rehabbed, and maybe he's just in another mode. Now we'll see in spring training. Of course, I haven't heard much on it, but we'll see in spring training. Of course, we'll see throughout the season. But yeah, I think it's going to be a competition. I would like to see Kyle Muller, Tucker Davidson, step up. Those are the guys that I think a lot of folks in Braves media are high on, which tells me that we should be. And Kyle Muller's a personal favorite of mine, just to be honest with you. But Kyle Wright's a guy that has a lot of potential. He's had some rough times, I think we're all aware. But I think he's a guy that could also break loose and be good. I mean, look, Tom Glavine, didn't exactly have, the easiest of come-ups either. John Smoltz, I mean, they all had setbacks. Kyle Wright's had some setbacks. Let's see how he turns it around. Dylan Holloway, what do you think the batting lineup will be with and without Acuna? I've done a little bit of thinking on this. With Acuna, I think he's obviously in the leadoff spot when he comes back. That could change just because of now we're adding Eddie Rosario, but I think to start the season, if Acuna is not there, I think you'll have Rosario there. Number 2, I'm putting Olsen there. I think he's going to overtake Freddie's spot. I would like to see Riley at 3, maybe Marcel, but I'd really like to see Riley and have Marcel at cleanup. After that, I think you go Duvall. Albies can either go 6, maybe even the 9 hole. I think Albies and Dansby are kind of interchangeable for 6 and 9 there. And then Duvall, 7, Darno, 8. Those are interchangeable as well. The bottom of the order is going to be stacked with Duvall and Darno and the catcher spot. But I think it's kind of we're gonna have to figure it out because Ronald Acuna obviously loves hitting leadoff, but you have a quintessential leadoff hitter in Eddie Rosario, and there's no doubt about that. I mean, he can play any spot, but I think his key is going to be hitting leadoff. I think he's the guy that can get a base hit and allow for guys like Ronald Acuna to drive him in. So we'll see. I think Ronald Acuna is going to want that leadoff spot, though. So for right now, I'm going Acuna. After that, Olsen. And then, same thing. I go Riley, Ozuna, I'm going to say Dansby, Rosario, Duvall, and then, I'm going to go Duvall towards the middle of the order and put Ozzy and Rosario together at the back end. That'd probably be what I do. Maybe you keep Rosario towards the middle of the lineup. There's a lot of things that the Braves can do, and that's what bringing in a guy like Eddie Rosario does. It gives you a lot of options because he's going to be a consistent bat. He's going to be, a contact hitter, which is what a lot of our guys are not. Not to mention he's a lefty. So I think either having him first or towards the middle, even towards the end, he can go anywhere. And that's what I liked about him from the get-go. We do have a super chat, so I'm going to bypass the rest of you guys and go talk to Z Corp Alpha, another super chat. Big dropper. Appreciate it, man. Just sharing, and I hope your day went well. Also, I want to send you a championship ring. Where do I send it, and what size are you? You know what? I'm going to drop my email in the chat, and I'll let you email me. Because now I'm curious. Tyler Redmond on deck at gmail.com. It's right there in the chat. We'll talk there, and I'll be more than happy to go back and forth with you. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. All right, let's scroll back up. I really do appreciate that, by the way. I think that'd be the best way to go back because I honestly don't know my ring size. Not getting married anytime soon, so no reason to measure. Let me get caught back up. Cody Hurd, Tyler, we got Eddie with a muscle arm. Thank you. Yes, we did, and I'm happy about it. Very happy about it, and I think it's the best option that we had out there. Obviously, we had to figure out the Olsen and Freeman thing. Glad we got around to finally picking Rosario up. And I mean, guys, this is the move that I wanted. The moment I saw this, it made me, for one, not obviously happy about it, but also it made me happy that my faith is in Alex Anthopoulos. I think people are finally coming around to that. Obviously, with the World Series win, but people are starting to see what I've seen for some time now. This guy makes moves that make sense. Eddie Rosario, you picked him up last year on kind of a whim in a way, and I mean that with all due respect. You got him, out of desperation, right? I mean, we were piecing the team together from nothing in a lot of ways last year, and it ended up winning the World Series. But we got him for virtually nothing last year. With all due respect to Pablo, but we got him, and he came in and performed to a level that I think a lot of people did not expect. Maybe even something that Alex Anthopoulos didn't fully expect. But I think you have to, reward that in a way, but also pick it up and move along with it. We have another super chat. Robert Gall, $4.99. Appreciate it, man. Acuna, Rosario, Riley, Olsen, Ozuna, Duvall, Ozzie, Swanson, and d'Arnaud. I love that lineup there. Yeah, there's a lot of big names. A lot of names that weren't big names a couple of years ago, but a lot of big names nonetheless. You got Acuna and Rosario in 1 and 2. I don't mind that. But I think you got to give Olsen some protection. That's why I got him in front of Riley and Ozuna. But you do too. You just got Rosario in front of him. That's not bad at all. I don't know if I put d'Arnaud in the 9 hole. I might switch Swanson for that. Just because, I mean, a lot of times 9 hole can be, your next leadoff in a lot of ways. So I think that, that's your best. I like it. I mean, look, there's no bad way to put this lineup together. There truly isn't. So I think it's a good lineup. I think I appreciate the comment. But I would probably go Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Ozuna, maybe Ozzie towards the middle of the road, maybe Swanson. I'd have whichever one it's not Ozzie and Swanson, I'm putting in the 9 hole for speed purposes primarily. And then I'll have Duvall and d'Arnaud somewhere towards the back end of the lineup. But I think it's a great lineup nonetheless. All right, let's scroll back up and let's see who we got to talk to now. Yeah, so Charlie Culberson did get re-signed to the Rangers. That must have happened right when I didn't see it. Sorry about that. But it would have been nice to get him just for utility purposes. Bambi, is Alex Anthopoulos just as smart? He waited he waited until after the lockdown. Everybody is rushing for a contract, and that's why he's getting these guys cheap. I wouldn't say that's completely why he's getting these guys cheap. I mean, Matt Olson we traded for, and I don't think we got him very cheap there. A lot of people thought we overpaid. I think that got shut down once the extension was done. But Alex Anthopoulos, he is intelligent. I think the free agency frenzy is definitely a thing. I think a lot of people want to know where they're going to be spending the next 6 months, maybe a year. And I think a lot of people probably are rushing to get a contract. I don't think Eddie Rosario was rushing to get a contract. Eddie Rosario wanted to be with the Braves. Yeah, he said that explicitly. Alex Anthopoulos said that today, that he wanted to be with the Braves. So, I mean, we are getting some guys cheap. I mean, the guys we picked up today, we're kind of taking a chance on, though. Like Thornburg, 1 year, $900,000. That's relatively cheap, right? I mean, but we are taking a chance on him. He's coming back from Tommy John. Dickerson is a guy we're taking a chance on. Much like Jake Lamb last year in a lot of ways, where we're just taking a chance and seeing what he can be. And I don't have a problem with that. Jake Lamb wasn't the first of those. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that leads to a competitive environment, and I think it makes guys feel like they have a shot at making a major league team. And these guys certainly do. But we'll see. I think a lot of big signings today and a lot of interesting talking points, obviously. Cody Hurd says it's sad to see Jock go. Yes, but I think we're all aware, Cody, that Jock was never going to be a career Brave. Like, he was never going to finish his career as a Brave, right? I think Jock was always going to be one of those guys that came in for the year, performed, and tried to get a big contract thereafter. And there's nothing wrong with that. He came in and was, was awesome. I mean, he came in and changed the entire the entire attitude behind the scenes. So it is sad to see him go, but I'm not entirely upset about it. I wish him the best in his future endeavors. Kevin Hagler was sad to see Soroka go on the 60-day. IL, was that today? I didn't see, I didn't get that notification. I know Kirby Yates did. Kirby Yates went on the 60-day IL when Thornburg got picked up because Kirby Yates is also coming back from Tommy John. So that happened. I did not see Soroka. It doesn't surprise me, though, because we already know that Soroka's at least not going to be back until late July. But there is no telling. If he is, I mean, it's no surprise. He will be back at some point this year, but it will probably be after 60 days. But appreciate the comment, Kevin. Robert Gall, the Chris Bryant deal. Here we go. They paid the Cards $51 million to take Nolan. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, with Chris Bryant, he's a great player. I just didn't understand why the Rockies picked him up. They obviously weren't trying to compete. They didn't re-sign Trevor Story. They didn't re-sign Nolan Arenado. To be honest with you, I'm just glad Chris Bryant didn't go to a team that we got to deal with in the division. Like, I'm glad he didn't, somehow find his way to the Nationals or something like that. So that's good for our purposes. But I didn't understand the deal in the grand scheme of things either. But we'll see. Guys, before we go any further, make sure to like the video. See, a lot of you guys are in the chat. I appreciate it. Make sure you like the video and get this out there. It helps me out a ton. And thank you guys for tuning in. I always appreciate it. Skylar Baker, who would be a better utility guy, Soler or Peterson? I'm going Peterson there. I think Soler is a guy you have to give regular at bats to. Jock can also play, any outfield position just about. He's a better fielder, I think. And I think he's a better off-the-bench bat. I think Soler is a guy that has to get regular at-bats. But I think Jock would probably be the better utility guy. Unfortunately, Jock's already, I haven't seen it official, but I'm pretty sure that Jock is on his way to the Giants. That's the rumor as of late. William, thank you. I see that down below, but that is the rumor. Found that out right before I came on. Let me see. Yosemite Rosario is underrated, and he gets to play for a team he looked excited to play for last year. Happiness goes a long way. I agree, and I think that's the pitch for a lot of these guys. That's the pitch for bringing a lot of these guys in and back to a team, right? Is the happiness clause, the ability to win as well and play every day. I mean, there's things you can offer when you're a good team, and the Braves are certainly that right now. And I think that's probably helping out in the negotiations, or at least making them easier. Double-A, I don't think had to try real hard to get Rosario. He wanted, he wanted Rosario. He picked him out last year from the Indians and brought him to Atlanta. But also, Rosario wanted to be back in Atlanta. He loved the environment, and Alex Anthopoulos said that clearly today. So I think I think at some point happiness does go a long way, and it does matter. And the Braves and Alex Anthopoulos are proving that. Robert Gall, Double-A, said that they nearly signed Rosario prior to him going to the Indians. He loves Rosario. And that's the kind of thing that comes out later. A lot of these moves, we don't immediately completely understand. But a lot of these moves we don't completely understand, but until later on. I didn't understand why we didn't go get Duvall until I found out it was budget cuts when he went to the Marlins last year. So it is what it is. But we'll see, J.W. Taylor asks, how long is Soroka and Kirby out for? 60 days. That's all we really know. After that, they'll reassess. But, that's all we really know. The rumor is that Mike Soroka wants to be back by July. Would like to be back by July. Not holding him to that, not expecting that. I would expect more like August. But it would be nice to see him in July for sure. I think he'll at least be throwing prior to that. All right, so it looks like the Giants have officially reached a deal with Jock Peterson from The Athletic. That's what's been, they have agreed to a 1-year, $6 million deal, but I guarantee you I would think he'd play every day, and that's probably why the Braves picked him up. Would have been nice, or the Giants picked him up. Would have been nice if the Braves got him for sure, but I understand why we didn't, because we didn't have, the ability to play every day to offer to him. Great move last year picking him up, and I'm glad we did, but I'm not surprised to be seeing him go. RLP, I believe Kirby is on 60-day IL. Yep, they put him on there today to be able to give Thornburg a spot on the 40-man. Blake wants to know how I'm doing tonight. I'm doing pretty well. I get to spend tonight with you guys, and then tomorrow morning I will be headed to Greenville, South Carolina for March Madness. I'll be there Thursday, Friday, coming back on Friday night, and then headed back up there Sunday and coming back Sunday night. So I got a big weekend ahead of me. So if you don't see me this weekend, that's why. But I'll try to be keeping up to date. Of course, you can keep up to date with me on Twitter and Instagram at bubblegum_Jesus. The links are down below in the description. If you want to follow me there, I'll be able to give you my thoughts on on anything at any moment there. It's a lot easier than coming here and talking for 2 hours. I can just tell you right what I think on Twitter, especially on weekends like this where I'm out of town and that kind of thing. I will be in a hotel tomorrow night. I may take the computer with me just to have the ability to broadcast if I need to or can, but no promises. But appreciate the question, Blake. William, Mueller is the one to step up. I certainly hope so. I'm a Kyle Mueller fan. I really am. I've followed his career pretty closely for the past about year or two. I think he's going to come up and be that guy sooner rather than later. Him and Tucker are the ones that I keep my eyes out on. Blake says, though, he wants to see Tookie get a bullpen shot. He's got all the stuff to be an elite reliever. I agree. He had moments where he was a decent starter. He just, he could, like I said, he couldn't control the pitch count. And as a reliever, those issues are out the window. I like that. But we'll see. The problem for Tookie going to the bullpen, at least on the Braves, is the Braves have a pretty stacked bullpen as of right now. I will say that with Kirby Yates being out for 60 days, that might impact his chances in a positive way, but we'll see. Let's see. Double Springs Youth, what do you think about acquiring, I can't say his name, I have tried, Kwang Huan Kim, I believe. I don't know what I think about it, to tell you the truth. I don't know what I think about it at all, actually. Is there any news on him? I haven't seen it if there is. It looks like the Cardinals just signed the record-breaking deal. That's the last I had heard. So, I mean, obviously the Braves, I don't think it's going to happen. But I don't know what you mean by that also. Z-Corp, looking forward to hearing from you. Oh, okay, sorry, got to catch back up. All right, so Caleb, he said it stinks that they couldn't come up with an extra 6 for Jock this year, but Eddie was first pick as well. A healthy Ronald and Duvall out there with him is going to be wild if they can all stay healthy. Completely agree. I would love to have Jock, but I don't think the money was the problem for Jock. I mean, $6 million in the grand scheme of things is nothing based on what we see all the time in Major League Baseball. I think it was more so Jock's decision. They'd love to have him coming off the bench, but what kind of role would he have as a bench role in a league now that has a designated hitter? I just don't see where he'd fit in, and I think he knew that, and I think he wants to have playing time because he still has a lot more years on his career than I think a lot of people might think. Jerome Longoria, of all the players I wanted to see return, it was Rosario. You were right there with me, and I'm glad he's back. Okay, cool, Caleb. I'll be looking out for that, but make sure you message me before 11 o'clock. Ronnie says, I think Swanson can get 100 RBIs in the 9-hole with the other 8 in front of him. I agree. Swanson I think his numbers with guys on base or guys in scoring position are like through the roof. I mean, the guy does perform, when guys are on the bases. So I agree with that. I'd like to see that. Ronnie also says Riley had his breakout season last year. Do you think he could be in the MVP conversation again? The thing about Riley is he seems to improve every year. I don't know if we saw the best of him last year or if he's going to continue to improve beyond what he did. I don't see a reason why he couldn't be in the MVP conversation again. In fact, I think he's probably going to be even more so in it because the only thing that really kept him on the back burner last year, I think, was name value. I mean, Bryce Harper won it last year when a lot of people thought Fernando Tatis should have won it. I'm not saying both of those guys had great years, but Riley up and down last year, I think he should have got more credit than he did. To be honest with you, I thought he should be on the All-Star team, but it's all name value. You got to get the votes. And I think the more years he can do that, the longer he'll be in the MVP conversation. But we'll see. I hope, honestly for Riley, I just hope we see last year again, maybe a little bit better. But he was a complete hitter last year, and that's what I want to see. The MVPs, they're nice trophies and all, but at the end of the day, I would much rather him have a solid year for the team. But great question. Jerome Longoria, what are the long-term plans at shortstop? Swanson, their guy. Imagine that infield for a couple more years. I do think Swanson's the guy. I think, for one, he's a hometown guy. I think he'll take a hometown discount. You hope anyway. Braden Shoemake, I know there's been a lot of talk about him, but Braden Shoemake is so far behind, in my opinion. You look at his stats, I just don't see him, pushing his way to the major leagues. He may surprise me this year and have a breakout year, but I just don't think he's ready yet. He might be in a couple, but right now I just don't think so. I think you extend Dansby, you lock him up, you lock Riley up, and you call it a day. In fact, it's funny you brought that up. I almost forgot about this. I tweeted this earlier. Made this graphic earlier today. This is the timetable. You see Swanson and Jackson Duvall and Guillermo Heredia. Their time is over after this year unless they are locked up for another. Of course, 2024, you see there's Rosario. After that, 2025's, I think, your most crowded year, obviously. You got Fried, Minter, Soroka, Matzik, Arcia, Pena, Yates, Colin McHugh, freshly added. And, of course, Travis d'Arnaud. That's going to be a very busy year. It would be nice for these guys to be locked up for a long time, but even Riley's only locked up till 2026, and he's not making the money he should be. So you hope, that he'll get a Ronald Acuna, Ozzy Albies style extension, as well as Fried and Soroka both, because they obviously deserve it. Morton's gone after 2024 as well. So obviously you see Matt Olson there. He's going to be your longest term as of right now, although I would think that Riley, Fried, Soroka, maybe even a couple of those relievers get extended. Charlie Morton, I think after 2024 will be year to year. I took the time to make this graphic today because it's something I've been thinking about for a long time. Freddie, had he gotten his 6th year, would have been about 2028. And you can see that they'd be having to pay Riley, Fried, Soroka, all those guys up there that aren't Swanson. All those guys, and even Ozzy Albies is going to be, his contract's going to be up. They're going to have to reconsider, paying those guys. Not to mention the big year in 2026. There's a lot of, guys running out of time, and they had to consider that for Freddie. They had to consider that for the future of the organization. So this is the timetable that you're looking at for the next few years. It's funny you brought that up. I appreciate that. Because I otherwise would have probably forgotten about this graphic. But that's that. I wanted to show you that. Feel free to refer back to it if you need it. But that's where the Braves are as of right now. I will continue to update that as much as I can in the future. I've just sort of wanted to lay it out and give you a visual representation of where the Braves are in terms of their young guys that they need to lock up, primarily in the infield with Riley and Swanson. Great question, though. I do think Swanson is the guy. Caleb says Riley can repeat his season for sure. In my opinion, Riley is a ball player. He'll be solid. I think so too, and that's what I've noticed. I've like I said, I've been a Riley guy since before he came up. I think that he has improved every year. You see the improvements. You see the change in a swing. You hear what folks say about him and compare him to. I think Riley's going to be fine. I'd like to see him back in the MVP conversation, obviously. Jorge, why don't you think the projection systems project Riley repeating his last season? Some have said it has to do with BABIP. Here's the thing, right? You can look at the projections. I don't. I go by the eye test a lot of the time. And I'm going to tell you why. Because a lot of these projections project the Braves every year to not win the division, to not touch the World Series. And I think a lot of that goes out the window. At the end of the day, it's what Riley ends up doing in the batter's box day in, day out. I don't really refer to the projection systems. I get it maybe just in a general sense, but player to player, I don't think it's very reliable. James seems to think that he doesn't he doesn't think Swanson's going to stay. He thinks he's going to leave as free agent when he can. But the thing about it is, Dansby's made such a big deal about being an Atlanta kid and, serving the community and all that. I'm not saying he's going to, do it for free, but I do think he's going to take a hometown discount. And to be honest with you, I don't think you're going to have to break the bank for Dansby. With all due respect to him, I don't think he's, anywhere near the best shortstop in the league. Freddie was. Freddie has been known for the past at least 2 or 3 years as the best first baseman in the National League, or certainly in that conversation. Dansby's not there. Dansby is a very good shortstop. He has a lot of good, fielding ability. He can hit. I think he can get 100 RBIs. And if he got more consistent, he might be, at the top of that list. But he isn't there. His numbers are, I think set up for an attainable contract for the Braves, and I think he's going to be a long-time Brave. I think he wants to be. He has made a point that Atlanta is his home, and he wants it to be for a long time. And again, the difference of him and Freddie is, Freddie had a reason to be asking for high dollar. I don't think Dansby does just yet. I think Dansby still has potential to break out, though, and I think he'll do it with the Braves. Let me see. G-Money wants to know my expectations for Marcel Ozuna. Well, Marcel Ozuna won the Dominican League MVP, right? He's missed a year of Major League time, give or take. I don't really know what I expect of him just yet. I wish I did, but I don't, genuinely. We're going to have to see. I think he's going to probably have a bit of a time to figure out. I mean, even last year he had some time to, where he wasn't doing so hot at the beginning of the year. So you might see that. I think at some point he's going to break out and be able to hit. But early on, I mean, I don't think you can expect too much out of him. But I do think he is, on paper, a very good DH, to say the least. But I don't know what my expectations are. I mean, at that point, it could be anything. RLP says, it is official. Alex Anthopoulos is good, and he is trying to prove he is the greatest GM of all time. I don't know about greatest GM. I mean, there's been a lot of good ones, even for the Braves. John Sherholtz comes to mind. But I mean, he has made some moves that make me look at him as a lot of other folks have, as one of the best in baseball, at least as of right now. I'm reading that we might have some news. I don't see anything out there. If there is something going on, super chat it, let me know. But I don't see anything on my end as of right now. Nothing official. Are the Braves still the class of the NL East? I assume you mean how would you rank the NL East? That's a better way to put it, Tyler. I would put the Braves at number 1. I'd put the Mets at number 2. Phillies probably at number 3. I think I go Marlins 4 and Nationals 5 because, I mean, I hate to say it, but the Marlins are at least on their way up. I think the Nationals just took, a suicide dive down last year with a fire sale. But, yeah, I would probably go 1 Braves, 2 Mets, 3 Phillies, 4 Marlins, and 5 Nats. We'll see. We'll come back to this at some point, and we'll see how I did at the end of the year, but that's what I would go with right now. In terms of who I'm fearful of, I definitely think the Braves are top of the game. I mean, they won the World Series. I think going into the season, you have to give them their credit. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to skip past you guys' conversation. Jorge, I think we're best in the East. Projection systems like Pacoda and Fangraphs pick the Braves to finish first, but they also think it'll be pretty competitive between the Braves and the Mets. See, I do too. I genuinely do. And the projection systems, they're just what they say. They're projection systems. They're not, they're not time travelers, and they're not, telling you the future necessarily. But, we'll see. I think the Braves have a very good chance of finishing at the top of the division. I would pick them right now. Yeah, RLP did exactly what I said. He said Braves 1, 2 Phillies. No, he put Phillies at 2. You disagree with me. Well, the Mets, to me, the Mets added so much. They added Scherzer, and to be honest with you, their manager intrigues me. That intrigues me a lot as well, and Buck Showalter. But I don't know, guys. I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be, right? The games have to be played. But we'll see. I think that me and RLP are pretty much right there together, with the exception of the Mets and the Phillies. Blake says, why not make the pen even more stacked? I prefer Tookie there over Inoa. I prefer Inoa there because I think Inoa has at least proven that he can be consistent and can be, he may even be in that starter conversation. But we'll see. I know he's in the conversation. But I think they're both in the conversation when it comes to Kyle Muller, Tucker Davidson, and the others, Kyle Wright, and so on. But to be honest with you, I'll take either one really, but I would probably prefer Inoa. Just in terms of who I want on the mound at any given time, I'm going Inoa there. Jorge, I think based on what the Braves and the Mets have done and what the Phillies have done, the Phillies have fallen behind. That's including what we now know about them signing Schwarber. Yeah, that was a big pickup. It would get more wild if they signed Castellanos. I agree. A lot of folks wanted Castellanos to the Braves last night. Didn't think that was possible with our budget. What the rumors were about our budget, I think we made the right move. Castellanos would change things. I don't know the Phillies inside and out anymore. They've changed a lot, just like the Nationals have. I don't think the Phillies are really in the same conversation now. Granted, they got a reigning MVP on their team. They have players. They have JT Realmuto. He's a free agent now. He hasn't been signed anywhere, has he? They got a lot of guys that, I don't know. No, he's not. He is not a free agent. I thought he might be, but they have a lot of good players down. They of course have Kyle Schwarber, but we'll see. Skylar Baker, Riley is on the breaking stuff now. He can hit anything, and that was his problem early on, right? It was the breaking stuff. I knew once he figured that out, if he figured it out, he would be a complete hitter. And I don't think he's trying to hit everything over the fence now. But now he's, like Pete Draper says, he's struggling a little bit with a fastball over 95. If he makes an adjustment, we're talking a 40-homer guy. He's got the power, and to be honest with you, I'm okay with him not being a 40-homer guy. Don't get me wrong, I'll take it. But I'm okay with him not being it if it means he's more complete with the breaking stuff. I love, a 40-homer player, but at the same time, I love a consistent player more, and I think Riley is that. It's his game. He's got to play to his game. Justin Frakes says that he thinks that we lock Riley up soon. I think so too. I think last year proved that he's the guy we want to have for an extended amount of time. Skylar Baker, really, I thought, okay, yeah, a lot. I mean, we're not baseball coaches, right? Riley's a great player. I think we're going to have him for a long time. We'll see. Caleb Cox says the graphic is awesome. He took a screenshot for reference. I'll put it back up. He's talking about this one, I think. The timetable, this is what you need to refer to when you're talking about contracts and, re-signing big-name players. This is a fundamental reason why I think Freeman was not, given just whatever he put down. This is why, you're not seeing crazy offers because we have a lot of good players that are going to have to be re-signed at some point. And unless the Braves, win the lottery or something, it just, there is facts behind it. There's money behind it. And I think that puts it back up. So that's one more chance to get a screenshot of that if you want it. Make sure to keep my logo on there. I would appreciate it. I've seen a lot of you, seen some pictures online with people taking my graphics and putting their own logo in front of it. So please keep mine on there. Thank you. Pete Draper says Riley crushes breaking pitches. Hopefully he can improve on the fastball. Yep. Dwight Cornell, I am very excited for Braves baseball. Riley is going to be really good again this year. I think so too. Gabriel, my little girl Mazzy wanted to know if we got you a signed Auburn helmet, would you get rid of that ugly Bama helmet in the background? You know what? I can do one better. There's Pat Dye. How about that? That work? I switch them out pretty regularly, so I'm gonna put it back up there. But yeah, I have an Auburn one. I'm pretty close to Auburn. I'm only about 45 minutes away from Auburn. I interviewed Pat Dye a couple years before he passed. Bobby Bowden is up there as well. Tell Mazzy, I got her covered. But I'll take a signed helmet. If you're gonna give me a signed helmet, I'm not gonna turn it down. Thanks for the comment though. The Mad Monk Atlanta. With Freddie gone, I think Riley could be the next face of the franchise. He could. I think for right now, it's definitely Acuna, maybe even Max Fried, because I think pitching is something that we don't talk about enough. But we'll see. Skylar says Swanson comes in clutch most of the time. I agree completely. I think he's a guy that comes in clutch more times than not. His numbers, like I said, there is no clutch stat, no good one anyway. But his numbers with runners in scoring position are pretty good. Justin Frake says he used to watch Riley in high school and was stoked when the Braves got him. I'd like to know what the thought of him was at such a young age. Just all that raw power, and now he's a complete hitter. I'd like to know what was the feeling with him in high school back then. He's got great defense too. That's something that I think a lot of people forget. Riley's not just a good hitter; he's also a very good defender. Powerlight says he thinks Ozuna will mash this year. I definitely think he's going to want to come back and perform. A lot of times when players do that, they get in their own head. And I'm not putting that out there. A lot of times if you try too hard, it just doesn't work. But I definitely think his motivation is there. William Fogum says Mets always Mets. $43 million for a dead arm. Mets are going to finish third. Yeah, I never understood why the Dodgers used Scherzer the way they did. To be honest with you, had they not used Scherzer in the elimination game with the Giants as a closer, I think they might beat the Braves. Certainly would have been more prepared, and not started off in such a crazy way in Atlanta. But they very well could have given the Braves a lot more trouble. Jerome Longoria wants to know, what is the jewel of my autographed baseball collection? Well, if you're just talking about baseballs, I mentioned this the other day. If you're just talking about baseballs, it would probably be the ball I have signed by Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, Tony Perez, and Joe Morgan, Big Red Machine. But if you're not just talking about baseballs, I have a few signed jerseys. I got Miguel Cabrera on a signed jersey. I got him on a helmet as well. But I'm looking across the room. There is a portrait of Hank Aaron in Milwaukee on the Milwaukee Braves. Young Hank Aaron, and it is signed Hank Aaron 755. That's up there for sure. I have a few pieces that are just really nice that I keep, that are expensively nice. But there's also some that are personal to me, like the Phil Niekro letter that I got from him is up there. It's framed on the wall over there. Chief, I got like a ton of Chief Nakahoma stuff. He's a friend of mine. If I know a lot of you guys are new, check out the Chief Nakahoma interview. It's worth a watch. The TP behind me is signed by Chief Nakahoma. That's one. But I have a ton of stuff. It's honestly it's too much. But I love it. So those are probably some of the top. It's becoming kind of just what I like now. It's not really anything that I try to have worth on. I don't put a number on it. It's really just what I want a lot of the time, what I save up the money and go get. But I got a ton of bats in the corner over there. I got a NASCAR tire signed by Matt Kenseth. I'm sitting in a Fulton County Stadium seat. It's not signed, but it's a stadium seat, and I like it. But yeah, I got a ton of stuff. If we went through it, we could spend a whole day just on that. By the way, guys, make sure to like the video and all that good stuff. Get it out there. I do appreciate it. I'll be here probably until about 9:30, and then I'm going to call it a night. I got a big day ahead of me tomorrow. I'll be on the road headed to Greenville, South Carolina. So, of course, I will not be here forever. If you'd like me to answer your question off the bat, make sure you super chat, and I'll get right to you. RLP says, imagine having three possible guys having 40-plus homer seasons, Acuna, Olsen, and Riley. I think so. I definitely think those three guys are all capable. Olsen had 39 in Oakland. Riley, I think, has the power. Acuna has proven to be right there as well. Is there anybody else that... I think Duvall could do it. That's a guy that I don't think a lot of people are going to, think about it. Even Ozuna. Ozuna's got the power. It's just a question mark of whether or not he does it. So you could have... There's more than three possible. Whether or not they all do it in the same year... but Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Ozuna, Duvall. If Darno played every day, maybe Darno. If he got 20, that would be, maybe the equivalent. Robbie B, I wish we could extend Fried, Soroka, and Riley. I think we will. I've been talking about this daggum timetable all night, but I think we're gonna. I think the obvious extensions here are gonna be. I mean, don't forget you got Duvall and Luke Jackson free agents after this year, as well as Guillermo Heredia along with Swanson. I think the obvious ones are Swanson. I think we'll probably extend Luke Jackson. I think we haven't seen the best of Luke Jackson yet. Adam Duvall wouldn't surprise me if we saw another either 1 year or 2 year deal. No guarantee there. Charlie Morton, I think, will be a year-by-year thing. He's not gone until 2024. Rosario, the same year, along with Will Smith. Fried, the obvious ones, I think, are Swanson, Fried, Soroka, Riley, Ian Anderson after his in 2027. There's a long time to think about that. Ozzy will probably be re-signed, but he's also going to hit a big time in free agency, so we'll have to see. And of course, Matt Olson's there seemingly until the end of time. So I think those are the obvious ones, but I think we definitely are going to extend Fried and Soroka and Riley. With Soroka, I think you might be able to get him a lot cheaper because he hasn't been able to really prove himself for the past couple of years. Samuel J., can we pay respects to the A's fans out there? The A's fans have it rough. They really, truly do. Because they rebuild more than any other team I've ever seen. Maybe even more than the Rays. They do that a lot. But we appreciate what they do, what they mean to the Braves right now. To be able to pick up Matt Olson. We got another super chat. Joseph Alvarez. Good to hear from you, man. Can the Braves repeat as they are constructed now? And Eddie, huge plus. Oh, man. Yes, I think so. I really do. And I know I paused there, but I do. We've had a lot of additions now that I can confidently say that I think they can repeat. Whether or not they do, I think they'll be in the postseason one way or the other, especially with an expanded postseason. With the addition of Rosario, I think that's huge. I think that's a big part of it. But along with that, you got Acuna coming back. You got Soroka coming back at some point. You got the addition of Kirby Yates towards the end of the year. I think there's a possibility that we see, like last year, a much different team even after the trade deadline. And I don't mean because we're going to go trade a bunch of guys. I mean because you're going to have a lot of guys coming back. You're going to have Kirby Yates coming back. You're going to have Soroka coming back. I think you might see a much different team even then. No guarantee, but I think there's potential to see a big difference in that regard. But yes, I think we can repeat. We have too much talent. I think we're better than we were last year on paper. Whether or not we perform, that's a different story. But right now, I definitely think that we can repeat. Whether or not we do, I think we can. Tiger Shark, Tyler feeling the love. I don't see a Dodger hat. There wasn't one there last night either. I had a Mandalorian helmet over there actually. But yeah, I put the Saban thing down, and I already got a complaint about that from Mazzy. But it's okay. It's all right. We're gonna switch some pieces out. I got some NASCAR stuff I might show you guys, and just sort of rotate some pieces out back there. But I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to try to cover you guys as much as I can, but I have to go to the super chats. Those are the guys that have to get my priority. I mean, they're dropping money in the chat. You have to acknowledge them. And I appreciate it. Thank you again, Joseph. Robbie B, I just got to you. Justin Frake says, I think this is the time to lock Riley up. I completely agree with you. I think we need to do it before we deal with a Freddie Freeman type situation. Although, I wasn't going to talk about Freddie Freeman. I was going to try to move on. I will say there's a lot of talk about his agent over asking, and now he's probably going to have to settle for a 4-year deal when he could have got a 5th one, with the Braves. But we'll see. Who knows, right? I don't want to deal with that with a lot of these younger players. I'd rather go ahead and extend them. RLP, the real chosen one, Robbie B. Oh, okay. Yeah, see and check the graphic is what he says. Joe Reese, I still think Soler is a possibility. Maybe Mark Cuban will buy the Braves, and then money wouldn't be an issue. Wouldn't that be nice, right? Soler, the only thing about Soler being a possibility is you have to get rid of Ozuna at that point, don't you? I mean, I just don't know where he goes. I mean, where does he play, right? Like, he's either going to be a DH or an outfielder, and we just got Rosario, we got Duvall, we have Acuna, inevitably coming back. I think at that point you have to get rid of Ozuna, and I just don't see any other way it happens. I might be wrong, but unless the Braves are able to trade Ozuna, I don't know if you get Soler. Now, you may be able to convince Soler to come back and at that point drop Ozuna somewhere else, but then you have to convince the team to pick up Ozuna with the past year he hasn't, touched the major league system. So we'll see. Elated. This is from Powerlight 39120. Elated that the Braves signed Eddie Rosario. He was unbelievable in the NLCS. The Dodgers could not get him out. I agree. I think he's a big reason why he won the World Series. I think he's obviously a big reason why he won the NLCS. I think he's great. I think he's obviously the guy that I wanted. I think you guys have picked up on that. But I appreciate the comment. Hey guys, do me a favor one last time. Like the video. It really helps get it out there. As you guys, or more and more you guys come in and tune in, as much as I appreciate it, really helps me if you like the video. It gets it out there for more people to see. But thanks for tuning in. RLP says he really enjoyed Hum Baby's baseball interview with me yesterday. Yeah, if you want to go check it out, you can. Not right now because you're watching me, but if you want to go check out Hum Baby Baseball, he did an interview with me yesterday, and it's always fun to talk to a baseball fan. He was asking about the Braves. He wanted a season preview of the Braves, and I did the best I could with the information that we have right now. Of course, a lot of the depth charts haven't been updated. I gave him as much background as we could. I thought it was a good interview. We went kind of in depth, not as in depth as we go on these live streams, I promise. That's what you tune in for. But we went pretty in depth. I suggest you go check it out. Of course, subscribe to his channel as well. He is a San Francisco guy, so if you're a Giants fan or if you just want to keep up with more Major League Baseball, he is a good guy to keep up with. Hum Baby Baseball. Skylar Baker, can't wait to see Ian Anderson this year. Yeah, I can't wait either. What I want to see out of Ian Anderson this year is the ability to get past the 4th and 5th inning in tough situations, right? To control the pitch count. We talked about that with Tookie earlier. Controlling the pitch count is what I want to see out of Ian Anderson. We saw that in the postseason. It was one of the NLCS games. It was either one or 6 because I was there. It was one or the other that he got taken out, I think, after like 3 innings because they trusted the pen more. And not to say there's anything wrong with that in the postseason, but I want to see him get to that next level. And I think he can. I think he's on the cusp of getting to the next level. Justin Franks says, I don't think there's any reason to get Soler. I don't either at this point. The appeal to Soler is really obviously the memories of the World Series and all that. But aside from that, the appeal to Soler is basically the fact that you have to drop Ozuna at that point. I mean, you just have to. It's either Ozuna or Soler at this point. Had we not gotten Rosario and we gotten Soler, I would feel the same way about Rosario at that point. It just doesn't make sense to sign both of those guys while we still have Ozuna as a ready-made DH, and we're already paying him $54 million. Unless we can trade him and convince somebody to eat up some of that money, I just don't see it happen. Pete Draper was looking at Braves Online shop for Rosario stuff, and it's a travesty that they don't have any Rosario jerseys for sale. Now that we got him locked up for 2 years, it's a matter of time. I want a Rosario jersey too, if that makes you feel any better. I'd like a Soler jersey, a Jock Peterson jersey, but because those guys were only there for limited time, it's probably going to be a limited quantity. Jorge, where do you think the remaining Big Five will sign? Correa, Freeman, Story, Castellanos, and Conforto. Also, did you hear about the Orioles offering Correa a 10-year, $300 million contract? I did not. Where do I think the Big Five sign? That's a really good question. And to be honest with you, I wish I could give you a much better answer. I think it's anybody's guess. I mean, with Freeman, it seems to be that the Dodgers are still in on him for like 4 years. That's the latest on his market. But as of yesterday, I think the Blue Jays were still in on him. I really don't want him to go to Toronto, but we'll see. I really don't want him to go to the Dodgers, but we'll see. The Rays, I think, were in on him as well. And that I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind him changing leagues and going to the American League. Maybe I can cover him in Tampa when I go later in July. But I'm going to say the Freeman's likely going to the Dodgers, as much as I hate to. The rest of those guys are going to go where people are paying him. Correa, if the if the Orioles are offering him a 10-year, $300 million contract, he's going there. Conforto, I don't know. I think he's one of those guys that's going to be a sleeper pickup. Castellanos, a lot of you guys want Castellanos. I think it's going to be whoever feels the need to pay for it, to pay for those guys. It's really a hard, thing to piece together. I know the Red Sox were in on Freeman. The Yankees, I'm sure, are in these conversations with all these guys. It's going to be the big name teams. But I appreciate the question. Bradford Brusso, hope I'm getting your name right. With Rosario now locked in, what other moves do you see the Braves making? Think future moves are going to be under the radar players that, or do they have another splash trade move in them for this offseason? Well, I think the two pickups today were actually pretty good. Alex Dickerson, low risk, high reward possibility. You might find yourself a pretty good bench player. We'll see on that. Thornburg obviously coming back, giving him a chance after Tommy John. You're paying him virtually nothing in the grand scheme of things. I don't mind those deals whatsoever. But we'll see. Like I said, we will see. To me, I think the majority of the moves we're going to make are going to be under the radar. But I don't think they're going to be the only moves. I think you might see a starting pitcher get picked up, and I think that's going to be the biggest deal at this point. Your position players, I think, are done. There's no need for any other position players unless you want to get, outside of the bench. But good question. Tyler, wow. Tyler's asking Tyler if Acuna is going to be ready for opening day. He says yes. Snitz said today that he might DH on opening day and early on in the season. But they haven't made that. I don't think they've confirmed that. They probably want to see how he does over the next couple of weeks before they say anything. Strictly losses. Are there any lefty bats for us to get? We just got a big one in Rosario. That's the only one I really wanted. In terms of major pickups, I think, like I said, I think we're done. There's no other spot for him in the lineup. You might see something happen at the trade deadline if something happens, like somebody got hurt. But as of right now, I think we're done with the major pickups. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll see. John Brown, come to Connolly's Irish Pub when you come to Greenville. I just gave you a free shout out. And I don't think that's fair, but maybe I'm going to be working, John. I don't know if I'm going to have time to really interact with anybody. Like I said, I'm going to be covering March Madness. I'll be filming that, but we'll see. If I have time, I may. I don't really know anything about Greenville other than Shoeless Jackson's from there, and I've been to that museum. That's really all that I know. But we may move over there and come see you. Justin Frakes, sorry, you guys are having a conversation. Yeah, Duvall had 38 homers last year, exactly. Joshua Estace, do you think Duvall will be more consistent? No, I think Duvall is who he is. Don't get me wrong, I think Duvall's a great player, but his 200 or shortly north of it, I think that's who he is. I think that's the type of player he is. But I think he is a home run power guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think we need to have a diverse lineup. We can't have everybody be just home run guys because, you can, but you have to have guys to mix in there and make something happen when, the easy home runs aren't happening. You have to have somebody break it open and get on base, and I think Rosario offered that. Oren Griswold, can we give some props to how well Snit and AA mesh as GM and manager? I feel like other coaches in the league would butt heads, but with our GM, he and Snit seem to gel perfectly. Yeah, a lot of you guys, you remember a couple of years ago, everybody wanted to get rid of Snit. Do you remember that? Maybe even last year. I think it's funny how quick those commenters stopped talking once we won a World Series because they were strong, man. They meant what they said back then. I think they mesh very well, and especially for somebody, of Snit's age, no disrespect, of Snit's age and Alex Anthopoulos' age. They're at very different, times in life, so to say, but they do gel very well, and hopefully that's the case for years to come. Bradford wants to know, seeing what Winker got traded for, any idea of why they didn't take a shot at getting him? Because they wanted Rosario, and I think that's what it comes down to. Jerome, any news on the Braves prospects that may be a part of the AFL? No, nothing that I've seen. Sorry about that. Tiger Shark, good to hear from you, man. Sorry, gotta scroll back up. A lot of you guys tuning in tonight. Once again, I appreciate it. Again, we'll be going. I said 9:30. We may go a little bit longer depending on how the stream goes, but probably not going 3 hours tonight, more than likely. Let me see. Should we sign a lights out closer? We already did Kirby Yates. He's just on the injured list. I think Will Smith is more than suitable for right now. I think he proved a lot of it. Luca, I'm not holding out hope that Soroka comes back as good as he was. 2 Achilles tears is just too tough. Maybe so, and if that's the case, then obviously it's unfortunate. But the Braves have done a lot without Soroka. They can do a lot without Soroka. It would be nice to see him come back and be at an elite level. Yep, Joseph Alvarez, thanks again. I see that RLP. Samuel says A's made 3 straight playoffs and then have an 86-win season and then decide it's time to blow up the team. Sad. Yeah. Well, when the money gets too tough for the A's, they move on. That's the Billy Bean mindset. And I see Jorge asked about Moneyball. Yeah, I love the movie Moneyball. In fact, I like a lot of what it is. I use the word Moneyball to describe a lot of what Alex Anthopoulos does. It's not exactly the same concept because a lot of what Moneyball is real analytical. I don't know if we're an analytical team to the level that the A's are, but we certainly incorporate some of those same strategies, and I do like them. I think they make sense. Not to the level of, and I say this, with respect to Billy Bean and the guys over there with the A's. Not to the levels of being cheap like the A's have to be. It's at a level that makes sense for the Braves. And I think we've incorporated that philosophy very well, along with the philosophy of spending money for what makes sense. Skylar Baker, there's going to be a lot of tough games in the NL East. It's going to make us better in the postseason. Agreed. I think that's what happened last year. I mean, you start the year off and it's tough, and you're going through a whole lot. And then, of course, the trade deadline and the second half of the season, you just absolutely dominate. That's why I don't think the NL East gets enough credit, because the Braves came out of it and they were an 88-win team. That means the division's hard. That's what that means, and a lot of people don't put that together. Joe Mixon, the A's have been in constant rebuild mode since the 1910s, with Connie Mack to the A's of the 30s selling all their players off in the 70s that killed the Big Red Machine. 110 years of rebuild. Yeah, that's who they are, and if, that's one thing about the Braves. The Braves do have money, maybe not as much as the Yankees or as much as the Dodgers, but they do have money, and that's something to be thankful for if you're a Braves fan, because we don't have to constantly rebuild quite as much. I mean, we do have our strategic rebuilds, but not to the level of the A's. Robbie B, thanks. Do you think we extend Matzik or let him walk because he will be a little bit older? Let me pull up the timetable again. When is he up? When is he out of here? He will be out in 2025. That might be it for Matzik. He's already extended to that point. I think at that point he's probably going to be done, because I don't know what age he's going to be, but I know he's a little older now. We have him extended to that. I know we're paying him virtually nothing. Let me look up his contract details for just a second. I think at that point, if I had to guess, yeah, in 2020 he was on a 1-year deal for $500,000. That's when we brought him back out of seemingly nowhere. I'm trying to find what his contract is. It's kind of hard to find at the moment. Where is Baseball Reference when I need it? It looks like he's making about $600,000 a year. At least he did last year. But he is signed through that. So he's averaging out to be about $600,000. I don't know the exact stint of his contract, but I do know that he is signed until 2025, and at that point I think he's more than likely done. But again, who knows? I mean, he might turn into being, just an elite reliever throughout that period, and maybe we re-sign him to another year. As of right now, he's born in 1990. He's 31, so he's not that old, but he might be a little old for a pitcher in 2025. His contract, he is arbitration eligible in 2022. That's this year, so that's where he's at. He'll probably be paid a little bit more, obviously. He had a great year last year. But yeah, that's where his contract status is as of right now. I see him making around $1 million, but maybe more, maybe 2 or 3. But he had a great year last year, and I think that's awesome. Got a super chat. I'm gonna have to skip you guys. Sorry, Monte Cristo. Wow, we got 2 super chats. Thank you guys so much. Let me get back on camera. Do you think the Braves will improve their regular season record this year over their 2021 record? I do. Depending on injuries, I do. I think we are a better team than we were at the start of last year. I'm going to say that. And you get Acuna coming back early in the year. I think the record's better. We'll see, but I definitely think the record's better. Thanks for the super chat. Going to move on to Skylar Baker. Did I travel to any of the World Series games this year? All right. So I was at a ton of games this year. I went to a bunch of regular season games, probably at least 10 or 15. And for the record, I live in Columbus, so that's like 2 hours south. So it's a drive for us to go, but we go a lot. But yeah, I went to the game where Austin Riley hit the homer off DeGrom. That's one of the regular season games I remember. I was there for the Freddie walk-off on the dinker, like off the dude's ankle, if you remember that. I was there for that one. But in terms of the postseason environment, I was there when we clinched the division against the Phillies, but I was also there for NLCS Game 3, that's the Jock Peterson homer, on the Brewers at home. I was there for NLCS Game 1, the Austin Riley walk-off, Game 6, the Eddie Rosario 3-run homer that we've been playing all day. I was there for a lot. In terms of World Series, I went up to Atlanta for Game 5. I did not buy a ticket. I went with a group of friends, and we stayed outside. We stayed in the Battery. I was right there with some of you guys, talking to you guys, which I was more than happy to be. I was there. I remember when Duvall hit the grand slam, thinking that we just won the World Series. Obviously, it didn't go that way, but it all worked out, and it was a fun time. But yeah, I did go to the Battery for Game 5, but the tickets were just astronomical for the World Series. And to be honest with you, I really wanted to watch it with my dad and my family, and it worked out. That's what I got to do. So I appreciate the question, though. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. We got a lot of you guys in the chat tonight, a lot of you guys commenting and interacting. I always appreciate it. Make sure you guys drop a like and, of course, share as well. Luca is my dad. I don't know what team you go for, but look, I'm not a Bama fan. Okay, I'm not. I told you last night I am a Florida State fan. That's just there because I like Nick Saban. Okay, that's the only reason it's there. I've met Nick Saban a few times, and he's a very nice guy. For the record, Bobby Bowden's right there and Pat Dye's right there. I just switch them out. Appreciate it, though. Make sure you drop a like and all that good stuff. And Luca, if you want to return, make sure you drop a like. I'm just kidding. Bill Gates, the Braves lineup is fire without Acuna, and with him, the lineup will be nuclear. I agree. Is there any broadcasting for Friday's game? Let's see. Braves, spring training. I haven't heard anything, but then again, I haven't looked. Today, they played the Red Sox, but that got canceled. So Friday is the first game against the Twins. I don't see any information about broadcasting, unfortunately. Maybe you might see a live stream. I believe a lot of the Braves media does that, where they'll just go live. I'd like to see it. But there's all the time deals and stuff, so who knows? If I hear anything, I'll tweet it though. So follow me on Twitter again at BubblegumJesus on Twitter and Instagram. Links are down below. Let me see. Jameson, have you had? Oh, thank you for. Thank you. He's complimenting the interview with Hum Baby Baseball. Thank you. Again, make sure to go check that out. Dylan Holloway, what exactly is arbitration? Sorry, I didn't want to sound stupid. Okay, yeah, arbitration is, in a nutshell, so basically you agree to have like young players, right? Like Austin Riley hit arbitration, I think, this year. Basically, they go to an arbiter and they chat about. They basically, an arbiter sets what his salary should be. They reanalyze the contract for young players before they hit free agency, sometimes even after. But that's basically what it is. It's basically just an outside party deciding what a player should make. I'm seeing Freeman news in the chat. I haven't gotten a notification. If it's official, let me know. But I do see the rumor that Freeman to the Angels. and which I wouldn't mind. But I haven't seen anything. I don't see anything official, and until I do, I can't say that. Let me see. Yeah, I don't see anything about Freddie. I see it. It would be very interesting if he went to the Angels for 5 years, 140. After all this talk about north of 200, it would be very interesting. Yeah, I don't see a source there, James, but I appreciate it. Oh, it's a prediction. Okay, yeah. You don't put it in the chat. You got to put prediction next to it so I know. Yeah, I haven't seen anything official on Freddie. I think it might be a while before we hear anything on Freddie. Miguel Freaka, I was mad with AA because he traded our prospects, but he's done a good job now. I think that the Braves will be at the World Series again. Hey, Tyler, do you think that Rosario will be our leadoff hitter? I think Rosario would be a great leadoff hitter, but I also think he'd be a great 9-hole hitter. I think it's wherever the Braves view him the best. But we'll see. Hato Mato is in the chat. Good to hear from you. We got our wish signed. Rosario is back. Yes, sir. John Brown, I'll see. I will tell you that I'll take a Coca-Cola on the rocks. That's my go-to. James PM Gaffney. Tiger, okay, sorry, you're talking to somebody else. Richard Davis, the Braves should be finished signing position players. Nowhere for them to play. Agreed. Duvall center field, Acuna right field, Eddie left, Ozuna DH. If someone doesn't sign before long, they may pick up someone on a 1-year deal. Completely agree. Tyler, do you think Water starting center field is a possibility? Make team, at least. Love what I've seen of him. Honestly, liked him better than Pache personally. I don't disagree there. I think a lot of people did. I think in the future, yeah, for sure. I don't think this year. Let me pull up that timetable again. Duvall, his contract ends at the end of this year. I think next year is probably Waters' timetable. I know the estimated time of arrival says this year. I think that's going to be for his debut, maybe. He may debut. If Duvall gets hurt, he may get called up and given the opportunity. But I think as long as Duvall's there, I just don't see it. Show Enough says Will Smith isn't lights out. He's inconsistent and unpredictable. Yes, but look at what he did in the postseason. Now, granted, that was a small sample size. But I think he might have turned over a new leaf. We've also added so much to the pen with Colin McHugh yesterday. And, of course, today the additions we had with Thornburg. Thank you, Thornburg. I mean, we have a lot of guys. We've added a lot. I don't know who's going to be the closer. I think Kirby Yates may be the closer once he's healthy, but he's not right now. So going into this season, I think it's going to be Will Smith. A lot of you guys are asking, do I think any more signings are possible? Again, no position players, maybe a starting pitcher, maybe. I think most of your moves are going to be probably more like under-the-radar deals. Guys, I'm wrapping it up in about 10 minutes, okay? So get your questions in, get your super chats in, because once I'm gone, I'm gone. But I'll try to get to everybody if I can. Richard Davis, barring injuries, the Braves will have 8 players with 30-plus homers, everyone except Travis, 2 or 3 with 40-plus. If you think so, we'll you know what? We'll come back to that. We'll see what happens at the end of the year. I certainly hope so. Tiger Shark, I'd love to... I don't know who you're talking about. The Braves win 100-plus. That's from Richard Davis. Wow, that's a big prediction. I could see it. I mean, I'm not going to be against it. Dougie24, should we be sad Jock is gone, or did it not make sense? It did not make sense. I appreciate you asking. I appreciate you asking that question, right? Like, obviously, no one's going to be thrilled that Jock is gone. Like, that's a bad way to look at it. But it didn't make sense for the Braves, especially not if we brought back Rosario, which I still think was the necessity. I think that was the target from the beginning of the offseason, for a consistent bat. And it mixes well in the lineup. I played a clip earlier of Alex Anthopoulos. I'm going to play that in just a second for a lot of you guys that might have didn't seen it. Stole it from Twitter, not going to lie to you. The tag for the guy that had it is down there, so make sure you give him some love. But here it is.
Back in, you get that another left-handed bat.
Yeah, left-handed bat was important. I think, last year was the most balanced our lineup was. When you look at having guys that we did with Jock and Rosario and Freddie and Ozzy, and just having that depth in the lineup is huge for other teams to have to navigate and work through. So, and also just having a contact bat is important too. So, we're excited he wanted to be back, and we're excited to get the deal done.
So that's where the mindset of the Braves is. I mean, that's from the man himself, right? I think with Jock gone, Rosario back, I think it makes sense. Jock is going to be successful wherever he goes if given a postseason to do it in. But yeah, great question. I just don't think it makes sense. RLP says our schedule looks so easy. I mean, we'll see how easy it looks once we get to it. Richard Davis, Braves really don't have a true center fielder. Duvall will play it, may move Acuna there. I think Acuna will play it, but he's got to get healthy. That's the biggest thing. His leg is still being nursed a bit. They're not even sure he's going to start in the outfield on opening day, which that is the interesting part is, what happens with what happens, once when Acuna is not healthy and he's not in the outfield. Who plays it? Probably Guillermo Heredia, but we'll see. Tiger Shark. So how is this a balanced schedule going to work? How I haven't looked yet. No more 18 games in division. More interleague play. To be honest with you, I haven't done the science myself. I think there's so much, changes with that it's weird. It's a lot more interleague play. That I do know. I'm more concerned about all the double headers with the missed games. That's what I'm more concerned about, because anything can happen with rain delays. I think we're risking backing up the system in a lot of ways when it comes to the schedule. Going to answer a few more, then I'm probably going to have to head out. Blake Robertson says, I'm not a real FSU fan. I will say this. I grew up a Florida State fan. As I've gotten older, I cover college football. I'm on the sidelines for games. I've become a lot more unbiased in a lot of ways when it comes to college football, just because I have to be when I'm there. And to be honest with you, a lot of the time, the better a college treats me when I go, in terms of feeding me. Alabama puts on a full buffet. A lot of schools don't do that. They treat me very well when I go. I have all the respect in the world for Alabama. I think they're a great team. Georgia, the same. I don't have anything really bad to say about any team. But I have to go. I travel to these schools. I get around the culture a bit. I've been to Notre Dame, UGA, Bama. I saw Florida State lose to Alabama in the Atlanta Stadium, one of the first major events there when Francois went down. I've seen Florida State at its worst. I've seen it at its best. I have been around a while. I am a Florida State fan. I watch them. I keep up with them. But at the same time, I like watching good football. And Alabama provides a lot of it. Auburn has provided it. UGA has provided it. Those are the games that I watch. Football is more of a hobby for me. Obviously, baseball is where I put my money where my mouth is. But yeah, I am a Florida State fan, I promise you. Weekend games are on 680 The Fan. Thank you for that. And it looks like Friday's game will be on 1340 a.m. in Atlanta. That's only if you guys are around. So that's if you're in Atlanta. Duvall looked good in center field. I'll take it. Yeah, Duvall doesn't get enough credit in center. I don't think he gets enough credit in general in the field, much less in the outfield. Philip Powell asks a good question. Great content. Who's our bench infielder right now? It's Orlando Arcia. That's kind of, I think that's fine. I think we could improve it, but I also don't think we're going to have to, because the idea of a pinch hitter is going to be a lot more limited now. I think he's going to be more of a spot start. Richard Davis, Acuna will be the leadoff hitter when he returns. I agree. I completely agree. I think he's going to want that spot. Bradford, are you confident enough of the Braves team to make a friendly season-long wager with Giraffe Neck Mark and his Mets? Good job with your channel and these late-night chat streams. I hit subscribe. If you can get Giraffe Neck Mark, if you can get him to call me out or contact me, I will gladly make a bet. I definitely think the Braves win the division, and I think he should put his money where his mouth is. I'll be more than happy to make a bet for that. Richard Davis, the Sox pick up Kimbrel's option to trade. Oh, you think they're going to trade? You think they're going to trade Kimbrel? Maybe. I've thought about that a good bit as well, because I don't think he's going to like being sitting there not having saves with Liam Hendricks as the closer. Who will be the leader in the locker room without Freddie? That's the question. That's a good question. I mean, you got some veterans. Charlie Morton's a good one. I think Max Fried's a good leader. In terms of the position players, I think we're going to have to see what happens. I think the environment for the Braves is a very positive one overall. I think Freddie, leaves a legacy of having a good environment around, and I think it's going to continue with or without Freddie. Tiger Shark, good stuff tonight. Thank you. We're gonna hop out of here in just a second, but we are gonna wrap up with that. So I'm gonna go through what I went through earlier with the early crowd again. If you want to stay for that, if you didn't already, we're gonna talk about that now, and then we're gonna get out of here. If you got anything else, put it in here. Philip Powell, I saw your question. I read it really quickly. I have tried to get an interview with just about everybody. If you want to help me get an interview with Mike Soroka, I'll be glad to do it. I would love to interview him. But let's go ahead and recap kind of just the early part of the show. Obviously, biggest news of the day, Eddie Rosario, 2 years, $18 million. We all know what he brings to the table. We know what he brought to the table last year. Rosario's stats last year, 259 average, a 305 on base, 435 slug, 14 homers. The numbers don't jump off the page, but what does jump off the page is the stats in the NLCS in the postseason. The NLCS 560 average, a 607 on base. They could not get him out. 1040 slug, 3 homers. He was the NLCS MVP, and we all remember the moment of him hitting the 3-run homer. The guy was brought back seemingly due to the idea that he's got a consistent bat. He can be consistent across a 162. He can perform. He can field. He is a guy that we can count on a consistent basis, and I think he adds a lefty bat to the lineup that has only one lefty bat in it at the moment, and that's obviously desperately needed. But I thought this was a great pickup, and I thought it was, again, a much-needed pickup. We're going to hear from Alex Anthopoulos in just a second as he gives his thoughts about picking up Eddie Rosario once again.
Back Eddie to get that another left-handed bat.
Yeah, left-handed bat was important. I think, last year was the most balanced our lineup was. When you look at having guys that we did with Jock and Rosario and Freddie and Ozzy, and just having that depth in the lineup is huge for other teams to have to navigate and work through. So, and also just having a contact bat is important too. So, we're excited he wanted to be back, and we're excited to get the deal done.
All right, so that's where the Braves mindset is at. That is going to be it for the night. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate all the super chats. Those always make a big difference. And we appreciate you dropping likes all night long. Make sure you drop a like before you leave. Hit me up on the socials if you want to reach out. It's on Instagram and Twitter at bubblegum_Jesus. The links are down below in the description. And with that, guys, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. We will have the recaps of this in the morning like we've been doing the past few days. We'll have shortened versions of this with just myself and the chat excluded and just talking to you about basically what's going on and, cutting a lot of this out, making it a little bit more digestible for you early in the morning. So if you want to watch that, it will be on there in the morning. And, of course, we're going to do as much as we can throughout the next few weeks leading up to the season, and we'll see you on opening day. With that, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next time right here at On Deck.